وضرب براحته اليمنى إبهامه الأيسر وقبض عليها. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, sometimes when he talks also, he will put his left thumb on the middle of his right palm, like this when he talks, and he might hold it with it, like that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he talks sometimes. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not used to say, he was not he doesn't used to say poet, but he is sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to quote sometimes some lines in his speech. In Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he talks, he remains silent most of the time. He will only talk where there is need. In Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he sees somebody honorable in his people, he will honor him more. In Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also sometimes he will joke, and he will allow people to joke around him, but he will only say the truth. Abu Hurairah said, Ya Rasulullah, how come you joke with us sometimes? He thought that the Prophet, he doesn't joke. He said, I joke with you, but I only say the truth, I don't lie. Once the Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I need a rider. He said, I will give you a born of a camel. وَلَدُ نَاقَةٍ. And a born of a camel, like a newborn of camels, nobody can ride it. It's just born, you know. He didn't say a newborn, he said a born of, like a camel, a born camel. He said, so how come I ride a born camel? He said, every camel was born. So he said, every camel, قال أليس كل ناقة ولد ناقة. Every camel was born. He was joking, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with him. He misunderstood him, that person. Also, once an old woman came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet mentioned that no old people will enter Jannah. She cried. Then he said, tell her that nobody will enter Jannah while he is old. While he is old, he will enter Jannah. Everybody enter Jannah young. She thought that old people will not enter at all. He sometimes will joke with them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting, and Aisha cooked some food, and it's very well known that Aisha is not such a good cook. She doesn't cook very good or very well. So she cooked a food. Basically, if you want to translate the food, I don't know. It sounds maybe not familiar for you these days. It's a little piece of meat with flour. They cook it. They didn't have rice in that time. Anyway, at least in Arabia, in Medina, Mecca. So anyway, she cooked that meat with the flour, and somehow, and Sauda, the Prophet's other wife, was there, and the Prophet in the middle between both of them. Imagine that. Anyway, she offered food for Sauda. Sauda said, no, thank you. I don't want. Aisha felt like, I've been cooking this all the day, and you have to eat it. She said, no, I'm not going to eat it. She said, no, you're going to eat it, or otherwise I'm going to feed it to you. Then the Prophet smiled. Then she said, Ya Rasulullah, allow me to feed her. Then the Prophet smiled. She said, do what you want. Then she took the food, and she stopped. فَلَطَّخَتْ بِهَا وَجْهُ سَوْدَةَ وَالنَّبِي صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ يَضْحَكُ بَيْنَهُمْ. She took the food, and she started putting the food in Sauda's face, painting her face with the flour with the food. He put it in his face, her face, like joking with her, like playing. And the Prophet in the middle, laughing at them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also once came to one of his companions. His name is Zahir, and he was he described he's a Bedouin. he came from the desert to the Prophet ﷺ, and he always bring gift to the Prophet ﷺ. And he wasn't look so good, the person, but described that kind of damim al-khilqa, he looks ugly. And Nabi saw him once in the souks. Then the Prophet ﷺ came from behind of him, and he held him like this, surrounded him with his arms, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then the guy start pushing whoever holding him and trying to open his arms. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, who wanna buy this slave? He's in the market. Then who wanna buy this one? He's selling goods in the market. The Prophet, he wanna sell him. Who wanna buy him? When he heard the Prophet ﷺ voice, he start pushing himself back, touching the Prophet ﷺ's stomach and chest with his back, trying to touch the Prophet ﷺ's skin more. Then he said, Ya Rasulullah, you will not find anybody to buy me. I'm so ugly. Nobody wants me. I'm not a valuable thing. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, don't say that. You are in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes so valuable. You are in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. He joked with it. Zayd bin asked, you are the neighbor of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How he used to live? He said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to talk with us, joke with us, but he will say the truth. He will smile, and to the extent you can see his more teeth, but he never laughed out loud. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also, he used to cry when he read the Quran, but he will not cry out loud. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tears come out. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He see the graves, then his tear will come out. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He read the Quran, or somebody recite the Quran, and his tear will come out. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I will stop here. Inshallah, we'll continue with some of the Prophet ﷺ's daily life and manners after Salat al-Maghrib, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. There is time for question and answer or not? Question, inshallah, I will keep it also after Maghrib. I will end very quickly because we have 3 things after Maghrib. We'll have 3 things after Maghrib. One, we'll talk about the Prophet ﷺ's manners, very previous, because there's some part of it I'm not going to talk about today, next week. And also we'll talk about I will answer some of these questions. And inshallah, we have also before Isha, some brothers.
In conclusion, we ask Allah that He brings you benefit through this lecture. For more information, you may contact us through the following address: the Islamic Propagation Office, Rabwa, P.O. Box 29465, Riyadh 11457, Saudi Arabia. Phone 445-4900. Also 491-6065. Fax 497-0126. If you would like to listen to more beneficial lectures, feel free to visit our website at www.islamhouse.com. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.